Good morning and welcome to the HIA-LI Economic Development Summit. I'm Eliud Custodio with Turn One Studio, and I have the pleasure of sitting with Rich Schaffer, the town supervisor of Babylon.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me today.
It's our pleasure. So we have a great panel ahead, you and the other town supervisors. It's exciting to see how you each look at Long Island and how you work together. So maybe we'll start there. How do you work together with other supervisors?
Well, the good news is that we work very well together.
Okay.
Unlike what goes on in Washington, we're made up of different political parties.
Yep.
We have a lot of people who come from different walks of life. But yet when we come together, we recognize what our responsibilities are, and that is to all of our residents
Yeah.
to make sure that we leave the place better than we found it before we took over in our respective offices.
That's fantastic. So speaking of Babylon specifically, what projects are going on that you're really excited about?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a couple things this morning. Some of the things that we've already done, like Wyandanch Rising, which is in its third phase now.
What is that?
Wyandanch Rising is a revitalization that's taken place over the past 20 years.
Okay. Near the railroad?
Okay. Yep. So it's transit-oriented development at the railroad station. There's a brand new railroad station, railroad parking for over 900 cars. Wyandanch on the Ronkonkoma line has become a major line. Major station for that line.
Sure.
Based on the second and third track. And so around the station has been commercial retail development as well as residential rental units. South of the railroad station now is going to be a mix of rental and home ownership. So we're excited. That's the next phase has started.
Yeah.
And so that's really taken off, and it's not only improved the quality of life in the community and given people alternatives for housing in the area in Wyandanch, but it's also increased property values. And we've seen the results of what former Supervisor Steve Babylon and County Executive Steve Babylon set in motion back in the early 2000s, and we're seeing that to fruition. So it's a mix of government investment
I was going to ask you about that, because you said this was 20 years in the
20 years in the making. So it's got federal money that's been
Okay.
involved, state money that's been involved, county money, and local town money. So it's a good mix of investment plus private investment. Albanese organization, Russell
Okay.
Albanese and his team have been the master developer. They've done a tremendous job. So we're excited about phase 3 going on now, and we'll continue to see the results of that. Copiague downtown has been a big part of what we've done.
Okay.
Again, another transit-oriented development. The town rezoned various properties around the railroad station. We've encouraged the building of rental units in the downtown area, and that has spiked in terms of property values
Okay.
for the existing owners, as well as given, again, alternatives for housing by the train station, in the Copiague train station. The other two things I'm going to talk about this morning are the new projects, East Farmingdale. So New York State Governor Hochul and her team have put together an RFP that was just recently awarded for the New York State property that's on the north side of Conklin Street,
Okay.
just across from Stu Leonard's.
Oh, yes.
So you know that everyone knows Stu Leonard's
Yeah.
as a marking point, but there's about 18 acres there, and Heatherwood has been selected. We're looking forward to working with them.
That's kind of between Stu Leonard's and Pine Lawn, the cemetery area?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Correct. It's west of Pine Lawn Cemeteries.
Yes.
It's north of Stu Leonard's on Conklin Street along the railroad track. So Heatherwood's going to build about 450 rental units.
Wow.
With some retail. There again, another transit-oriented development. It's going to spin off of what Farmingdale Village has done very successfully with their train station and the development around their downtown and train station. So we're excited about what's going to go on with that property. And then in Deer Park, County Executive Ed Romaine has made a major commitment to bring sewers not only to the residential areas in Deer Park that have not been sewered, they're outside the Southwest Sewer District, but he's also committed to sewering the retail corridor. And that's
Okay.
going to allow us to create an overlay district to do a rezoning along the main route, which is Route 231. Those properties look like they're from the 70s and 80s. And we're going to give the property owners some incentive by sewering the area, allowing them to further develop that area, and again, provide alternatives for rental and home ownership in the Deer Park area. So Deer Park and East Farmingdale are our next targets for making improvements,
Okay.
and we're going to hopefully see the same results that we saw in Wyandanch and Copiague.
That's all. You've been you've been very good at taking my questions before I get to ask them, because I wanted to ask you about sewers. A lot of the town supervisors have been making that a priority.
Yeah.
So you're doing that in Deer Park.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have someone like County Executive Romaine. He pushed and got, with all of our support, the eighth of a cent on the sales tax.
Okay.
That now goes to a dedicated fund. It generates about 45 to 55 million a year. It's run by his team. I'm part of the trustees that help determine how to distribute that throughout the county.
Yeah.
And sewers is a major part because it's an eighth of a cent for improving water quality. And one of the ways to improve water quality is to allow for sewering. There's about 350,000 parcels in Suffolk County that are not sewered.
Okay.
That is contributing to the nitrogen increases that we've seen in all of our waterways, which has caused problems for the environment. So the environmentalists like Adrian Esposito and the others who championed this have made sure that we as government officials are going to make sure that not only are sewers going to be a part of that, but also cleaning up our water quality and working with our individuals throughout the county.
Love it. So before I let you go, how does working with an organization like the HIA-LI help in these initiatives?
Well, listen, HIA is critical to that
Mm-hmm.
because they're made up of a good cross section of leaders in Suffolk County, based out of Hauppauge, but they come from all walks of life, including the business community, and their advice is critical
Sure.
to us making the right decisions because they've got their ears to the
Boots
ground.
on the ground, yeah.
They can provide us with that critical information and support. So when we go to Albany or we go to Washington, when we're looking for this money to bring it back, our officials are going to listen because we're backed up by people like the HIA.
Love it. Town supervisor, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.